David Calvert here with another Monday Marriage Minute. We're talking about marriage vows, and last week we talked about the purpose behind the vows. Some people call them wedding vows. I prefer to call them marriage vows because they pertain to the life of the marriage, not just to the wedding ceremony. So if you missed that one, you can go back on my website and watch that video of what I believe the purposes of the vows are. It pertains to the idea of the marriage being a covenant between two people and God. So we're going to break down some of the phrases that are in the marriage vows. We're going to look at four of them. Today we're going to look at the phrase for better or for worse. When I do premarital counseling with a couple, I often tell them, you really have no idea before you get married how bad the for worse part can be. It's just one of those things that you discover as a couple as you get into the marriage, because you don't know what life is going to throw your way. You don't know what God is going to allow to come into your lives until you get into it. So I want to look at it from a couple of different perspectives. First of all, for each of you personally, when you say, I'm going to love you for better or for worse, you're talking about that person. That I'm accepting you, warts and all. I'm accepting the best in you, but I'm also accepting the worst in you. I'm going to love you in spite of those imperfections that I don't even know about yet, because you don't really discover them till you're in the crucible of life, if you will, and the pressure kind of brings some of those things out. And so we find out, our spouse has flaws, just like we do. Our spouse discovers our flaws when we get in those pressure-filled situations, when we get into crises, if you will. We find out sometimes the strengths of our spouse, but we also sometimes see those weaknesses. But the vow is, I'm going to love you through that. I'm going to love you even when you're at your worst. And, and you'll love me when I'm at my worst. And so then we'll have grace to cover each other. But I think it also pertains to the best and the worst that life has to throw at us. And that's why some of the more modern versions of the vow will say in good times and in bad times, because you really don't know what you're going to go through with a spouse, whether that would be the sickness or, God forbid, the death of a child, whether that would be the sickness of your spouse, whether that would be cancer or a debilitating illness or some type of disability, job loss, financial difficulties and struggles. There are all kinds of things that life is going to throw at us. And so this is where a lot of couples get into trouble, and this is where I come in as a marriage counselor, because a lot of times couples don't know how to resolve conflicts that are inevitably going to come about as a result of these difficult situations. And so what most couples end up doing, unfortunately, is attacking each other over the problem instead of working together to figure out how to solve the problem. If you're struggling with those for better or worse situations, and the worst situations are taking its toll on your marriage, reach out to me. I can help. That's what I do. You can find out more about me on my website, davidcalvertlpc.com. Until next time, this has been Monday Marriage Minute. God bless you. We'll see you next time.